Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to White Gaming. How is everybody doing? So we are back again today with some more Generation Zero. Today we're going to be going over a few tips that will be really helpful in 2020. The game has changed so much since its release back in March of 2019. I thought we'd get through a load of new tips that will help you out, and even some new players, you'll benefit from this, and old players as well. And also, if you've got any tips of your own, drop them down in the comments. I'm going to put a video together of tips from you guys for you guys. And there's plenty more Generation Zero content to come, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. First off, what you want to do, really important, and it's self-explanatory really, because you have to do it anyway, but that is loot. At least spend, say you're jumping on for an hour, spend 15 minutes of that hour just looting. And the way I like to loot is I will pick a town or a bunker and I'll just loot that whole area. And then once I've done that, I've normally got enough stuff to last me a few days. And then I'll just do it again and again and just fill the plunder up. And then you get to a point where you don't need to do it, and then it just makes things a little easier. And you never know what you'll come across as well. You'll find collectibles. You can find all sorts in these little bunkers. Little Easter eggs and just little bits that the devs have put in that make the game really cool. You can find them dotted around everywhere like this. So it's good just to explore and loot whilst you're doing it. It is entertaining. The scenery of this game is stunning, so it's worth doing as well. You've got something nice to look at, and you come away with a lot of ammo, a lot of meds, and other funky little bits. I'll show you a few of the skills that I recommend you get. I haven't got them on this profile. I have them on my other profile, and a lot of them work out really well, to be honest, especially when you pair them together. You need, obviously, it depends what difficulty you're playing on, but a lot of these will help a lot more on the higher difficulties. So, especially ones like salvage, increases the amount of ammo that you will find in containers, things like that, which is quite good. And lockpicking as well is definitely one you'd want to get nice and early, because that's going to get you into loads of different locations and possibly bag you that gold weapon nice and early on. And also, you want component damage. It's always good, saves you a little bit of ammo, and EMP expert. And we'll go into why a little later on, because especially on the Guerrilla difficulty, it really comes in handy. Just to, knock out more enemies with less EMP resources that you're using. And remote hacking is also good because it just gives you a little bit of time to sort of get in and do what you want to do. Especially those 20 seconds, they really do help. They count a lot, so just bear that in mind. Obviously, you don't really have to get it. And depending on how you're playing it as well, visibility, movement noise, and covert movement speed, they're all good, especially if you want to sneak past a lot of enemies and you don't really want to play it all run and gun and straight in your face. But if you do try and play it like that, then definitely I recommend heal amount. It improves, obviously, as you can see there, the amount of healing that your medkits actually do, which makes them more effective and you won't need as many. And also, another one is armor damage. Just once again, to save you that little bit of ammo, it really helps. Then when you get to your final skills, hacker would be I'd say it's quite a good one. Just purely for, you've got that little bit of backup then. It gives you that extra person sort of thing. Especially if you're playing solo, it helps. If you play more with other players, it won't really do that much. I could imagine if you've got 4 other people and all 4 of you have got hacker on, you could turn 4 hunters against 1 tank, and that would be quite a cool little battle. That's actually not a bad idea. Keep an eye on your stamina bar. That is down in the bottom left. You don't want to be in the middle of a firefight, and then all of a sudden you can't sprint. Obviously, it does slow you down quite a bit. We'll show you that now. Just as it hits to the final bit, the amount it slows you down is mad. But you can negate that slightly by jumping, which then brings it down a little bit. It's quite helpful, especially when you're in a sticky situation. As well as keeping an eye on your stamina, keep an eye on your weight. I tend to sometimes, when I'm in a fight, if I find an enemy I'm near him, just pick up what he's got, and it's quite good. It's nice and quick, and then you haven't got to go back. But the one thing that can happen with that is you can become over encumbered, at which point that slows you down. You can jump, but that is it. There is no sprinting whatsoever. Obviously, since the update, the way it works has all changed. So now you just have one set weight, and whatever your set weight is, Obviously, you can upgrade it by using skills, but mine at the moment is 64 because we haven't done anything to it. So once you go over that, it is an instant just walk. And you also cannot fast travel when you are over encumbered, so bear that in mind. So one thing I like to do, I didn't really start doing it until this playthrough, and that is whacking a scope on your assault rifle and turning that into a DMR. It's so much easier, and because the hunting rifle is good, but it can be a bit of a ball ache to find the good ammo for it. Obviously, you got your soft point, which I really don't really use soft point that often, and I like the FMJ. So FMJ is good, but it's quite hard to come across. And at the start as well, when you haven't got the PVG, which is the big 50 cal, you tend to do more damage with the assault rifle, from what I think anyway. And it's quite good because obviously you've got your 20 rounds in there rather than the 5 or 6 from the bolt action, and it's very helpful. And if they get up close, you just switch it back to automatic. Bish bash bosh, you've got yourself a nice little DMR and a trigger happy toy when you need it. So before you head into a fight, make sure you always assess the situation first. Make sure you've got you know where the enemies are. There's no hidden little guys, so a bunch of bloody hunters sat in the bush somewhere waiting for you. Always just check out, make sure you know what you're going up against, and that will help you out a lot, and probably save you a lot of medkits and a lot of deaths at the same time. Try and separate a few from the sort of herd if you can. It makes things a lot easier when you take out a small amount instead of running in and then all of a sudden you've got 8 or 9 enemies surrounding you. And on the harder difficulties, that's not a good thing anymore. Before the April update, that never used to be a problem. Now they have increased the difficulty so much, you really need to make sure you're ready for the fight that you're going into. If you just run in half-cocked, you're going to end up getting your ass kicked and probably get a bit stressed in the process. So make sure you know where your enemies are, what they're doing, and how many there are. Always try and target the machine components. This will save you a lot of ammo and you'll do a lot more damage, especially if you've got that perk active. It works on all the machines. All the machines have different components. As you can see on these runners, they've got the tanks on top. My aim is not on form today. But yeah, those tanks, if you hit them in the right place, it's normally one shot. Hey, got one. My aim is not good at all. But yeah, aim for the tanks. All the machines have fuel tanks, apart from harvesters, I think. I don't think there's one on the harvesters. They've got the box on the back. But targeting components will just save you a lot of ammo as well. On the hunters, they are on the back, in the middle, just below the head. And on tanks, they are between the legs at the back. And you can't miss it on the tanks, really. They are massive. On the harvesters, they're a little bit harder to see. But if you've got your binoculars as well, there is a skill you can get which will show you the components, which helps. It highlights them. I'm pretty sure it's the hacker skill. So it's always good to have that, and it will help you learn the components. But I'd advise just learning the components anyway, because if you can do it without the binoculars, sometimes you get caught up and you don't have a chance to really scope out a situation, and you just get your ass handed to you. So it's good if you know all the components, then you can just start blasting them without having to figure out where they are. With ammo being so scarce, especially on Guerrilla difficulty, you need to use some Guerrilla Tactics. So, you can use the large EMP cells, the small EMP cells, the fuel cells, gas tanks, and things like that. The small EMP cells are better to keep with you because you can throw them, but medium and large you can't throw, you have to place and then they are shot. No, I think you can throw the medium. I don't really use them. I think I've only found about 3 in the whole time playing the game. But small ones are the most common, but you can find the large ones quite a bit. But yeah, what you want to do is just whack them all on the floor in a little area, get yourself a radio, plonk the radio down, and just wait. The enemies will come running straight to the radios. It works with the smaller radios as well, and the smaller ones you can throw, which is quite helpful. Let's get them to come a little closer, which they're not going to. Oh well, we blew something up anyway. They're not bothered at all. So along that line, use emergency flares and standard flares. The flares, standard ones, are good for larger targets because if you throw them on the floor, that's where the enemies will shoot. So if you've got a larger target, like a harvester or a tank, you throw them at the legs, all the enemies around will start attacking that. So use that to your advantage. And with the sticky flares, obviously self-explanatory, the name, they're sticky. If you can hit an enemy with them, which I am struggling to do right now. We threw 3 at them and missed all 3. But the enemies will constantly target that flare. So it works really well on tanks. So if you can get a load of runners and things like that, you just chuck a flare at a tank, they'll all attack it for you, which is really good for you to take out all the runners and hunters that are around the tank then. It just gives you a little bit of a break. It's really helpful as well, because it does a lot of damage. They do quite a fair amount of damage to each other. I mean, obviously, if you've seen the Versus series that we've done, where we use enemies to kill enemies and things like that, and, you know, it can be done. You can kill a tank with other enemies without firing a single shot. Obviously, you need a lot of flares, though. But it's always good. Make sure you use them and the EMP cells as well. If you've got a large chunk of enemies, whack an EMP cell in there. It'll disable everything around you, which is really helpful. Make sure when you're in combat, you are using cover and your surroundings. As you can see down there, we've got a car on the bridge, which we can pop a couple of shots into. We're not going to have enough ammo. No! It didn't work. But yeah, you can use the cars to blow things up, which is really effective, especially on runners and hunters. It works really well, and make sure you use them as cover as well. But if they are attacking the cars a bit too much, they will blow up, and it does hurt a lot. So make sure you keep an eye on that, and don't let them blow the car up, because it will do you in. We're not going to be able to do it. Oh my god. We can do it. It's not a problem. Run out of ammo. Boom! Don't blow the car up when you're standing close, because then that happens, and it's not a good feeling. Also, enemies. As you can see, this guy is quite chunky. You can sit behind him. Obviously, it works better with the bigger enemies, but any enemies will work. If you're out in a field and you've only got runners to duck behind, it still works to some degree. So just, you know, use the cover where it is. Anything you can come across can be used as cover, and anything that you come across, most stuff you come across, can be used as a weapon. So the cars, the gas tanks, the big red tanks and the big white tanks that are around buildings, they normally go off with quite a big bang. So that is it for today, guys. I really hope it helps. If it does, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and remember to drop your own in the comments below, and I will start working on a video from you guys, for you guys. Any tips that I use in the video, you'll get a shout out for. But for today, that is everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Peace!